Here we go. Hi.
Hey! Are we live?
We are live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What up?
We're as live as you want to be. You know, we can always start it whenever, but
Live is evil spelled backwards.
live is evil spelled backwards. So is live, because that's the same same word.
I forgot.
And then lived is devil.
Right.
Ooh.
We're
talked about-
crazy. We talked about that last
Yeah,
time.
we talked about that last time. It's
Mhm.
okay. Keep it going.
But
The
we're
story
just-
continues.
The story continues, and we just said it, and I don't know. I'm just into the reversal of things.
Oh my god, your waveform is so much higher than mine over here.
I'm just high frequency today, dude.
You're
Super
extremely high
vibe today.
frequency. Look at this. Look at that spike.
Whoa! I just was excited. I'm excited. I can't
You
help
are.
it.
You're very excited.
It's electric.
It's good.
Excitement.
Well, still no clipping, so whatever.
What up, Alex? How are you?
I'm a little tired, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty good. I'm a lot better than I was the last couple of days. I was so tired.
You were
I was
exhausted
exhausted.
and
Well,
cranky
Well, it was the full moon.
in
and-
Capricorn.
Whoa, what just happened?
I don't hear.
I don't hear anything. Why? Why don't I hear anything? What happened? Oh no. I think it's still recording.
Yeah, it's still recording.
Uh,
Are your ears things not working?
my ears are not working. Why are my ears not working? Hold on. Starting again. Wow. What a journey that was.
Okay, are we back?
We're back. Chase is way too high vibration right now. She's fucking with all the electronics.
I don't know what's happening today, but I feel like really, 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 really high vibing, happy.
Well, you ruined.
I did that? You think I did that?
I think you did that. We're having trouble
Crashed.
getting on to like the phone with some like customer service stuff today, and you made that happen. I couldn't get through to anything, and you just picked it up. I'm like, hey, let me get through, and you did it.
Yep. I'm just feeling it, dude. I feel like I've walked through the shadow of the valley of the death. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. That's a Coolio song. I don't know, man. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel reborn right now. I don't know
can
what
tell.
the heck is going on.
It's fucking amazing.
I was so happy. I am so happy today.
Doesn't feel manic either.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. Because a lot of times when I get really happy like this, I'm like crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that way. I just feel like light. I feel light.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I keep hearing in my head is I am light. I am light.
Mm-hmm. You are light.
And I just the synchronicities of 11:11 are everywhere around me today.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And then when that happens, I just feel this. I can literally feel my ascension of my consciousness, my body. I don't know. Today I was like, I was just driving through the desert, and I felt this like. I like released myself from materiality, if that makes any sense. I just got that bigger picture about being a spirit, and like this reality kind of just playing itself out as we go, and it's not really anything is very big deal, and it's like the bird's eye view. I felt like that's what the image I kept getting today was this phoenix energy, this rising ascension energy, and I was able to get the bird's eye view of everything, and like, oh, it's all just, you know.
Why do you think that's happening now? Because this is all sort of stuff that you like intellectually understood before, and then have like it seems like almost every week or something. You're like, oh, I understand it now. It's sunken in. But now it's like it's just even deeper somehow. It's just like your entire being has accepted this new reality that you're living from.
I really think it's the devil work that we The work,
right.
the last episode we talked about the work that I've been doing with the devil archetype and the darkness and this internal criticism and lightening up on myself and everything else. And something has happened where my reality and my conception of reality with that everything has loosened and nothing is a very big deal to me anymore. And now I just feel like I can play with materiality and it's not really real. Nothing's really real. I don't know. I think that's why for me.
Right. And that's something I understand too, and sort of move in and out of having the level of access with that power. But you're just like crazy in it right now in a weird way. It's like it's weird to observe from the outside because it's something I've sort of experienced in my own life, and then you go a little bit like, oh, I'm not sure how real that was, and then you're like, oh, that's really real, even though I'm holding on to the back of my mind. I know that's sort of like we create reality with our minds in a lot of ways. But like this is like the first time I'm really up close observing another human being doing straight up fucking magic. Even just right now, just like a little thing. You're talking about that 11:11 thing earlier, and we just pulled up astrology charts, and yours you pulled up. You're like, whoa, it's at 11:11 time, and I pulled up one right after her, and it's like mine. It's like at 11:08, and I guess like
they should be this. It's the chart of the moment.
We're on the same Wi-Fi. We have the same. We're MacBooks. Like I don't know. Somehow our internal computer clocks are out of sync or whatever. But like whatever rational explanation you find to come up with that, it's weird. It shouldn't.
Super fucking weird, dude.
You're on a different time. Mine was like 11:08. I tried pulling up a couple of other times to see if it was like some weird backwards. I don't know what was going on. Nope, the clock seems fine. I don't know what's going on.
I'm just really starting to. It's like a new level. I've been studying this stuff for years. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your blah blah create your reality, and it's like yes, I intellectually understand that. I really think it's a matter of embodiment. I think that it has to be integrated into your body somehow. Because last time we were talking about digestion, right? And for me, like how I've always had problems with digestion, and I'm not having problems with digestion anymore.
No.
At all. My stomach doesn't even hurt.
Right.
Like in the last week and a half. It was really hurting for weeks before that.
Right.
It was the culmination of this Capricorn full moon, which I feel was a transition point of this culmination of this pan devil energy integrating it into my body. So this digestion, I've digested that information and it literally into my body somehow.
Yeah.
And it's affecting I think we don't give our bodies enough credit for the consciousness because we just, we still have this idea that our heads are separate from our bodies and that we have to control our heads and control our minds, and that's going to change our bodies. And it's actually all one giant organism. It's all one giant thing.
Right. Well, there's a book that's become really popular in modern psychology called The Body Keeps the Score, and that's one of the things that was part of like the very beginning of my awakening process back in like 2019. That book, The Body Keeps the Score, it talks all about that. It talks all about the mind-body connection and how real and how intense that is and how serious of effects it really can have on your body. And it's all like really like scientifically well accepted, and so it's weird how little we still seem to talk about that, especially in this era of COVID and all this stuff.
What's interesting,
like it's really well understood by science as well as New Age thought.
It's still so Newtonian though. Like even what you just said, I acknowledge it. I acknowledge that it's helpful, but that the words, the mind body connection is right there separating them. It's separating them right there.
Right.
And they're not separate.
No.
So
they're not separate, which is
maybe that's the whole thesis of the whole thing, but it's still working in that context.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's just more I'm more working on a quantum energy of.
Right. Well, when I speak that way, I guess I'm trying to speak to the old paradigm because I simultaneously hold this awareness of like where I've been and how weird we can sound to other people. Maybe that's limiting me too much right now. Maybe that's why I feel heavier than you.
Well, this is what you've been talking about recently.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This is what you've been talking a lot about recently, which is like you focus on this is a theme between us, is I usually tend to focus on things that are really innovative and this is an overgeneralization, but like, say for pop culture, we were talking about Phil Collins versus Peter Gabriel, right? That was the conversation we were having the other night.
Right.
And because Alex talks to me a lot about Phil Collins, and I didn't know Phil Collins was such a genius until you talked to me about him. Alex is an amazing drummer, so Alex is really into drummers. But
and an incredible like drummer too, like really technically gifted as a percussionist.
Phil Collins is.
Yeah.
And then Peter Gabriel came, but I don't personally like Phil Collins was like cool. Of course, I mad respect for Phil Collins, but he's not somebody that I go to like my 80s playlist and I'm like, Phil Collins, you know?
And
Genesis,
not me either.
Genesis has a few songs that I'm like, fuck yeah, but it's not like In Excess or something. Like when I go to my 80s playlist, I go to fucking in my 90s playlist, I go to In Excess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So then we were talking about, so then this Peter Gabriel song came on the other night and I was like, oh my God, because Alex is 9 years younger than me, and Sledgehammer came on the radio, and I was like, oh my God, this I was alive when MTV first came out and this video came on, and it was the most incredible, artistic, and innovative, amazing video, and it was like I couldn't believe what I was watching on TV. And so we got in this whole discussion about how fucking brilliant Peter Gabriel is, and why he's so much different, and he's so much more innovative and artistic, and he's more of an organism within himself of art, right?
Right.
Anyway, my point being that you would tend to focus on the Phil Collins energy, which is, and why he's so successful and why people resonate with him, while I tend to focus more on the Peter Gabriels of the world.
Right. Right. And it's not even because like I like them, but I don't at all. I really prefer like Peter Gabriel and more artistic kind of out there stuff. But I just always wonder, it's always been an interesting thing to me why there's certain things that really, really resonate with people and get really, really popular. I just wondered, like, why is that? Why do these things end up getting so much more influence than the things that, like, I feel personally like I resonate with more?
Which then
why does that happen?
And I think that's absolutely like respectable. You're studying human consciousness. At the same time, it's also, there's something in it where when you're focusing on that energy, it is heavier because you're entering that consciousness versus where you're naturally at. And if you're bringing in quantum awareness, which would be like the return of the wave function, which is the idea that all of reality is a wave until our human consciousness focuses on it, that becomes a particle and it hardens, right? And so if whatever you're focusing on, you're creating more of, right?
Right.
And I think so. Back to when we were saying why you're heavy, right? It's something. I think it might be something to do with that.
Probably
not allowing that kind of more wild energy to take over the consciousness or something.
I think it has something to do with the way I enter other consciousnesses in order to communicate with them and understand them. Like, I really...
That's right. Yeah.
Try to understand where other people are coming from, and within that, I carry too much of the emotional weight of that person, that energy, whatever. And, you know, that's probably something to be let go now. It's not really serving me anymore. I've probably understood as best I can where everyone else is coming from.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, you've taught me a lot about entering other people's perspectives and like not being as judgmental, and like seeing where people are coming from more, because Alex can enter any person's consciousness and see from their perspective. He truly holds no judgment. I've never met any human that actually holds no judgment as Alex does.
It's I think been part of my karma in this lifetime, because I had a lot of judgment to work out. I mean, you still encounter that. It's not like I'm just completely inhuman and don't have judgments, but I've just, I guess, prioritized working on that. But now I'm learning to integrate that in a new way where I don't have to like go deep into the energy. I can just release it and stay separated from it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's been the dynamic. A lot of the dynamic between us has been you teaching me how to release that, and then me teaching you how to kind of hold some sort of, it's not judgment.
Well, I think what makes it so heavy for me, and I think the reason why I learned to do that, maybe I was wrong in my assessment from just a few moments ago. Maybe more came from a need for people to think that I'm right, a need to be right, and a need for other people to think that I'm right. I don't really like it if other people think I'm wrong. It really has bothered me.
I think this is the main thing you're working through, honestly, right now.
Right. So I entered people's consciousness to figure out, okay, like, what are the reasons they might think that I'm wrong, and to actually like go in there and just like
dismantle that shit.
Dismantle it, you know.
So that you can never be wrong.
Exactly. Exactly.
How's that working out?
Exactly. Oh, it's exhausting.
You look so tired right now. Even though you slept like 11 hours last night.
Dude. I mean, I feel better.
Yeah.
I feel way better. But
why do you think this moon has been so intense? Because it's been really intense for you, this full moon, because it was on top of your.
Well, astrologically, it was on top of my natal moon. The moment
and
the full moon was 1 degree away from my natal Capricorn moon,
and it was conjunct your north node.
And
it was on top of your north node as
my
well.
My moon is conjunct my north node, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. So why do you think? So it's highlighting your subconscious. It's highlighting your undercurrent because your moon is in Capricorn and your north node's in Sagittarius. But we were talking about that Sagittarian energy the other night, right? About because Sagittarius Gemini axis. Right. The Sagittarian energy is the Sagittarian energy is fiery. It's mutable. It will change its perspective, but it holds a belief. It's all about beliefs and faith and expansion of that and constantly growing. And it's the philosopher and it's the speaker and the orator. And so you kind of have to have that. And that's your north node, right? Right.
And the other side of that is my south node in Gemini, which is much more the dual perspective kind of thing, the devil's advocate almost.
Right. Never really holding a belief.
Right.
Wrong. My friend I grew up with who's Irish, her mom, she says that. Her mom says that.
What is that?
It means right.
Oh, okay. Like, what are you even saying? Like, you just went so like. Sounded like a
That's
walrus.
Bougie. It's bougie Irish. Right.
Bougie.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. Do you want to talk about the chart of the moment?
Sure.
Maybe we could get some more clarity, a little bit more clarity about what's going on too.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe I can figure out why the hell I'm like so awake right now.
Okay, well, you always go first with things. Sometimes it seems like we flip-flop.
We always teeter-totter.
We always teeter-totter, but I think it's just because there's this like wave, and it's like slightly delayed for us.
And
it always seems to be you tip over the edge first, and then I follow soon after.
You've also been schooling me really hard the past couple weeks.
True.
Like gnarly.
Well, I was feeling really good before the full moon. You remember? Like
I was having a rough time.
You were having a rough time. I was feeling fantastic.
Yeah, and I worked through all this stuff. I surrendered all of my the fear of the devil.
Right.
And
there's something about this level of embodiment that you have right now that I think is even more so of where I was at before this full moon. So that's why I think it's still you going first more so than it is like a teeter-totter. But in some way, we're always able to guide each other when because of this sort of teeter-totter, like when you're feeling bad, I can help guide you forward a little bit more and then vice versa.
You know, the energy today that I really tapped into and what I really feel is happening is because I keep having visions of serpents and I keep feeling a kundalini rising energy that's happening inside of me. And I've been feeling this pretty consistently since 2017, but this point at now is the strongest. Like I feel like it's coming out the crown of my head. It's starting to emerge. Whoa. That was the visuals I was getting today when I was driving in the car. I just felt like this like
Whoa.
And even the card, I pulled some tarot this morning, and the first card, the card I pulled was the Ace of Pentacles, but on that card, it says, there's something written in Latin.
You can go grab it.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, hold on just a moment. Do 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 do. And you're back. Hey.
Okay. So I looked it up, and I have the Thoth Tarot deck, and on the card it says "Tu Meta Opion," and that means, I was looking it up like in the Gnostic. It was like some deep witchy shit, Crowley shit, but it has to do with the serpent. And I just was looking at it today briefly, but that feels really, really, really right to me, because this Ace of Pentacles card is basically the highest manifestation card, and it's basically your internal state reflected in your external state. And so that's really, because I worked through so much fear, because the other cards I pulled today, I pulled that one first, then I pulled the Princess of Wands, which is complete release of all fear, taming the tiger, and I pulled Abundance, and it was just basically this relinquishing the darkness, releasing this fear on the inside. It's reflecting now on the outside, and I feel it. I can feel the energy. I think that's just what happens when you start to when you start to face and integrate and digest the darkness instead of resisting it and always holding a place over you. You have power. That it's literally power. Power is light. It's the current. It's the flow.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been feeling. I've been feeling really in the flow, really in tune with the currency of the universe, like letting it just completely. And if we do that, that's just light coming through us. It's just light literally coming through us. That is what the flow is. That's why they call it currency. That's what the flow is, just a current of energy. And when we're in tune with it, we're just one with it. And then so we're just like, zing! We can affect electronics. We can affect everything. We're just complete channels of this universal current, right?
It's actually the natural state of being.
It's the Tao. Mm-hmm. It is what the Tao is. It's essentially what the Tao is.
Ouroboros, snake eating its own tail. Right.
Why was I talking about that, though?
I don't know. We were going to look at the astrology chart, and then you started talking about your Kundalini.
Oh, yeah. And the serpent. Yeah. Anyway, I had some dreams up until this point about these snakes getting out of cages. Last dream I had about a serpent was a serpent leaving its cage. Mm-hmm. And I just feel it. I feel it happening inside of me. I don't know what to say except for that. I just feel really good.
Whereas you had a lot of dreams before that where you were scared of snakes in the house. You're like, snakes in the house.
I had dreams about snakes in the corners of the room.
And you're like, it's in you. You're the devil.
I used to point at you and say you were the devil.
Which is true.
It is true. I live with him. I sleep beside him. I make love to him.
Embrace the evil. But in this way we've been talking about. You want to look at this chart?
Yeah, let's look at it. So the first thing that I'm noticing in this chart is Jupiter conjunct the moon. Like right now. It's in Pisces, which is deep expansion of spiritual power. And it's trining the sun. I really feel that. Because Jupiter is the planet of expansion, faith, belief, fortune. Because when you have deep faith, you can basically direct your consciousness towards fortune if you have that strong enough faith. Conjunct the moon, which is our deepest subconscious. So those two things are blending. There's an expansion of our subconscious. There's an expansion of faith in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is the highest level of integrated spiritual energy of this universe. It is the flow. It's the absolute energy of non-duality. It's also trining the sun, our essence, our life purpose. So these are all really being illuminated. The sun's in Cancer. These are very watery, emotional. Our emotions create our reality, right? So yeah, I'm feeling that. What do you think about? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I feel that. I was looking at how this changes by the hour, but it's interesting that those are in the third house right now, which is the house of communication, Gemini energy. Yeah, lots of deep watery stuff. Cancer, self-nurturing, going inwards. It's interesting that this all happened around the flip of Mercury going direct to her. Mercury was retrograde, which is a sort of inversion of the way things would logically work, and is sort of the mind turning in on itself. And now that the mind is flipped back outwards, you're now back out in the world. You did all this internal work. But it's interesting for me that like now I feel there's more internal work to be done. Like I was more extroverted during the Mercury retrograde time. And I think in your chart is Mercury direct.
Yeah.
In my chart, Mercury is retrograde. So maybe we feel those things oppositely.
Interesting.
So that's an interesting personal point in there. Mercury's in Gemini right now.
Air sign.
Mind wants to communicate itself.
What about the
North Node is also in Gemini.
Yeah, they've been. Yep. What about the the Mars conjunct Venus opposing Saturn and
Pluto. Well, that's interesting. We got kind of this little bit of crisscross here. So they're 8 degrees apart. It's a sort of loose conjunction, but they are.
Right.
Depending on how you what sort of tolerance you decide to have with your conjunctions. But yeah, so those things opposing Saturn in Aquarius, Mars in Leo, Venus in Leo, the sign of love and self-expression, also of ego, can be wounded pride. And that is opposing Saturn in Aquarius, which is the sign of detachment, invention. It's an air sign. So there's a perspective that needs to be given here where there's wounded pride, maybe around relationships, with Venus being involved there and Saturn being the planet of karma. There is a lesson needing to be learned there with detachment. Finding detachment.
That's what I've been feeling today. Massive.
Mm-hmm.
It feels so
Saturn
good.
and Aquarius energy.
Well, for somebody who's really like, I have a lot of fire and I get really passionate and I get really intense about things. Detachment is like, the feeling of detachment is the most liberating feeling in the world for me. Mm-hmm. And nothing feels better than it.
I think for me too.
Yeah, because you're double Leo.
I am double Leo. I desperately need this Saturn and Aquarius energy. That's a huge karmic point for me in my natal chart. And my Saturn return has been coming up all this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, Saturn is 2 degrees away from my natal Saturn right now. But it's retrograding, so it's moving. It's doing this whole teasing thing all year, which I feel like I've been feeling. I've been feeling these karmic lessons coming up and then going away, fading away a little bit, coming up and fading away. And they're really...
But we had a great lesson today.
Yeah.
With our landlady, who's extremely...
So nosy.
So nosy and overbearing and controlling.
Right. But I'm dealing with that shit now. I have some sort of, like... karma, I feel, with people like that in my life, people trying to control me and overstep my bounds in these authoritative ways.
That's what happens to empaths and sensitives.
Right. Because like you've been dealing with her mostly lately, but I've been kind of in the background like, let me at him, let me deal with her. Like I really want to deal with this, whereas you're like, I'm done with this. I'm like, no, I want to, because I feel this like karmic connection where I'm like, I want to try a new way of dealing with this kind of person for myself, where I'm not cowering and kowtowing and stuff. I'm like, no. And I'm not like going too hard, because I have this like seesaw one direction or the other where I'm trying too hard to grovel or just completely burning the bridge and destroying the situation.
Yeah, Hitler, the German, very strict. No.
Whereas today, like, she said some passive aggressive shit about, like, she came over to measure the fridge and she said some shit about, like, oh, the kitchen being messy. It's like, yeah, whatever. Like, we just cooked a meal. And
our kitchen was messy because our fucking fridge broke and there was shit everywhere because we had to switch things out. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever. It was bullshit. We take really good care of our place.
Yeah, our house is so nice.
And I was just like, I was really direct with her. I was like, that is really, I find that to be really nosy, and I do not appreciate that.
You told her straight.
Yeah.
Didn't you say it twice? You said
I said it twice because
And then she apologized, right?
Yeah, she was like, oh, I hope you're not mad with me, you know,
because she
really just, she just really wants, she wants to be in control of the situation. She feels in control of the situation when people are like on her side, whether she gets that through coercion or whatever. And since I wasn't having any of her coercion, she like panicked and she was like, oh no, I don't have any control of this situation.
Which
in
is
either direction.
And the reason why this is such a big deal is because this person has had, at least over me, she's had power over me because she's kind of tyrannical.
Yeah, and you've been afraid of being like written up.
I've been afraid of being written up, and it's crazy.
You do stuff for her.
I am so nice to her.
You're so nice. You take out the recycling for the whole building.
I take out the recycling just out of niceness, and I hit my max because she was so rude and nosy recently, and I just was like, this is too much. She crossed a boundary, and then now I've stopped. I've detached, and so all the stuff that happened today previously would have put me, because it's the reason why it's, you know, it would get me upset is because it's my home, my source of security, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like the deepest thing, and so she knows that she has that power over everyone here, and she's anyway.
Yeah.
And I just, like, something inside of me has completely shifted that. Like, I'm like, I do not feel scared of her anymore. I do not feel oppressed by her. I do not feel under her thumb. I do not, I used to avoid her. I'd be scared of her. I'd think about her all the time. She was like this oppressive figure in my life that was like, it would drive me mad.
Right.
And now today I just felt so amazing. I was like, I don't give a fuck. And I was like, I kind of was like
it just embodying that, just purely, like, there was no charge there even.
There's no charge.
It's wild to see it. Your like whole face is like relaxed. You're just like,
it feels so great. It's so deep that I don't even care if I get kicked out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's not my source of security. She doesn't have power over me. And then I was really going deep with this today. I was driving around running errands and I was thinking about this really deeply. And I was like, there's so many of us that let people have power over us in some way or another. And it's like, and I was thinking about, you know, we could ask ourselves, does this person actually have power over me in this moment, right? Most of the time it's no. But then I was thinking, what about the people? Yes. What about the people who actually are like being tortured or imprisoned or whatever? And it's still, this was the thought that I had in 2020. I remember climbing up this mountain and having this thought when I was getting really upset about all the politics that was going on. I was like, power and control is an internal thing. It's an internal thing. Even if that person is literally torturing you or has you in prison, there is still a place inside of you, inside of your soul, that is yours, and they will never, ever, ever take. And that's the submission process. That's the fear process. You know, they can do whatever they want to get you to submit to them and fear them. But no matter what situation you're in, you can always hold a sovereignty inside of your own soul, right?
Right.
And that's kind of the realization I was coming to today. I was like, no matter what, there's these people, no matter who it is, this is what power is. This is what freedom from fear is. This is truly what freedom from fear is. And this is how you gain absolute power, which is the currency being in the flow. Power is simply being one with the universal current. It's simply being in that flow state, being in that so that you're just being guided by the universe. The reason why we stop that, we restrict that flow, is through fear, which is stress. Jesus called it, I was reading about this morning and it was so interesting.
You want to go grab it?
Yeah, I'm going to grab it.
Man, you are schooling me today. I feel like last time I was talking a lot. I talked a lot. It was my whole devil story or whatever. But this time, like, it's all you. It's the Chase show today.
It's okay. We flip flop.
Yeah,
That's what's
I know
beautiful.
it's okay.
That's what's so freaking awesome is that we're both humble enough to.
Thank goodness I have you.
Oh, sweetie.
Thank
you help
goodness.
me. Okay, this book is one of the most incredible books, and it came to me this year. It's called In the Flow of Life by Eric Butterworth, and it's comes from God, I think. This. Oh no.
Did you lose?
It's
lose
alright. I have it in one ear.
Okay. It just popped out.
It just popped out.
Yeah. You want me to fix it? You got it.
Hello.
And how's that?
Hello. It's just still one ear. It's
Okay,
fine.
whatever.
It's fuck it.
That's all the.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, okay.
Hey,
We
okay.
got it. All the technical issues this episode.
I'm too excited.
So excited.
Okay. Did I lose my place? Where's my place?
No.
It's okay. I got it. I'm in it.
So he talks about Jesus in this book.
Oh, yeah. He talks about Jesus. He talks about. Okay, here we go. Well, he talks about Jesus like.
I mean, he's sort of a minister, right? He was like a Unitarian.
He was a minister of the Unity Church in New York, but he is really a freaking shaman. And the way he understands the Bible is through such a mystical, truly integrated lens. And he's been a massive instrument in my awakening. I commune with him sometimes. I feel him and I just commune with him, and he guides me, and he guided me today towards this. Okay, it is an axiom of modern medicine that the only disease is congestion, and that all other ailments are but an intensification of that congestion, which inhibits the natural flow of the healing stream. All congestion first takes root in the mind. Jesus called it resistance. Modern researchers call it stress. And so he's talking about, and then he talks about currency. He talks about currency. This is where the energy about currency really started getting into me, and understanding what currency is, and connecting to the current and the resistance, right? Or the absolute, the stress, the resistance is the congestion, right? It's like the grayness on the sides. That's why I think the 1111 has been showing up so clearly for me today. It's like the 1111 is clear channels. Not impeded. It's almost got a boundary in itself, right? It's not impeded by any darkness on the sides. It's not congested. It's clear. But I think when we get into these spaces, the congestion comes in, and that turns on to disease. The way we think of it is stress. It's just fear. It's fear of outcomes. It's that energy of people having power. Oh, you look like you're about to fall.
Dude, I don't know what's. Yeah. I'm dealing with some congestion right now. Oh my God. I mean, this is the funny thing about this. Like, we understand this, and I understand this, and I work with it all the time, but sometimes things just still attach themselves to me, and I'm working it out.
You're working it out, dude.
I feel
you're working it out.
I feel good. It's just
I was working it out the last 2 weeks hard, bro.
Yeah.
Now, like gnarly style. Remember how much I was crying? And
well, it's the more we go through this, and we're hitting home as we talk about this stuff. It's like, oh. I'm just feeling it more intensely the more we talk here. But that's good. That's a good sign. It's a sign of healing. I mean, I also kind of think about it like, when you get sick, it's really your body healing itself, right? When you get tired, it's like, hey, your body's healing. You're tired because there's all this work being done internally by your mental and physical immune systems. I really feel that happening right now.
Yeah.
So,
well, shit has to break down in order to be rebuilt. It has to kind of collapse,
right?
In order to be rebuilt, like that building in Florida. What the fuck was that? This is all over the news. I mean, I go to the gym. Let's just have a moment of zen. Talk about the building in Florida. I don't know if that's zen or what. But what
Maybe
the fuck?
Zen for me.
Let's talk about the connection of like, because I keep seeing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today I had the feeling, and this might be totally off, but I was like, because I go to the gym and MSNBC is always freaking on, and I don't pay attention, but then sometimes I look up, but they're just like obsessed with this building in Florida. They're obsessed with it. Like the news is obsessed. And it was interesting because it looked so similar to the building in Gaza that the Israelis
That's right.
And
right.
And Floridians, there's a lot of Floridians that are like super hardcore into like pro Israel and stuff. And I was just thinking, I wonder if this is some kind of weird karma,
could be.
That's being
some
played out.
A hidden energetic thread there. Yeah, could be. Could be some sort of echo.
Yeah, like an echo.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just like, it was also like, just symbolically, like they kept being like, the news kept being like serious structural damage that was never, it's like our world. Like,
yeah, there's serious structural damage here that's like not being checked out. And it's like God's like, yo, dude, you're supposed to check this out every 5 years or so. And you've been failing the tests and then continuing to not do anything about that. Because they were like, there's water damage here. We had tests that showed water damage. And they're like, okay, this action needs to be taken. And the action was never taken. That's what it's like here, too. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll check that out. And it's like, that's the political thing, right? Like, yeah, we're going to solve this issue.
Yep,
and
exactly.
it's the promise that gets people into office, but then nothing's actually ever done about it.
And it's a giant facade until it absolutely collapses, like our government is currently doing. Like what's happening? It's actually, as we're talking, I'm like, oh yeah, this is actually what's just happening. And the U.S. of A is just fucking collapsing. Like our systems, our structures.
It's like our solutions cannot be purely political, man. It can't keep going this way. At some point, you're gonna have to actually do something, or you're gonna be trying to fish grandma out of the rubble.
What do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean do? What are they gonna have to do?
Well, that's a good question. It depends on the issue that you're talking about, but there's like a lot of things. Like, I mean, climate change is one of the biggest ones that no one can even really agree on what's happening. And then there's the thing that Biden like built this like pipeline or okayed this pipeline through Minnesota that was I don't pay attention to politics really at all, but you said that he promised not to do that, and Jane Fonda's pissed.
She's pissed as fuck.
Yeah, Jane Fonda's the best.
I love her.
She's
one of my queens.
She's
one of my highest priestesses. She's so pissed. She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I worked to get you in office so that you could protect us, and now here
and then
you
it just
are.
doesn't happen. I mean, think about like the Obama situation, how many promises were made there that were not carried out, or were carried out on like some sort of surface level. And there's all this structural, economic inequality. The infrastructure of the U.S. is not being taken care of in a well-distributed
the structure.
way.
There's the structure.
You'll
is
have
collapsing.
some roads that get rebuilt every 5 years or so, and other roads that haven't been looked at in decades.
It's like the West Seattle Bridge.
Yeah.
Like just collapsed, right?
It just straight up collapsed. Yeah. And it's like Seattle's been working on every other piece of infrastructure in the city for decades.
Well, they've been working on the tunnel that they can make a lot of money off of.
Yeah, and then they just let the fucking West Seattle Bridge collapse. It's ridiculous, man. It's like the things that actually need to get done don't get done.
But let's relate this to the consciousness conversation we're having.
There's all this energy being put on perfecting areas that are like don't really need it anymore. They're getting over perfected, and then there's
People
parts of ourselves and parts of our
darkness.
consciousness that are just completely neglected.
And and they're scared to go there because they need so much help and they don't even know where to start.
Metaphorically, you got this like one freeway that's like the most beautiful freeway ever. You've perfected it. You've worked on it so hard.
Key West freeway.
It's the freeway you show to everyone. And you're like, look at this beautiful freeway. But then the rest of your fucking infrastructure is like crumbling. Like you had a retirement home just straight up fall down in your mind. You know, you have these parts of yourself that are just straight up falling apart. They're leaky. They're not up to code in any way.
It's like it kind of reminds me of the Truman Show, remember?
Yeah.
It's like the Truman Show, like that one part, we just watched that recently, but that one part where he's like, what the fuck? Something's going on here. And he like runs into some random building and tries to go in the elevator, and it like the elevator opens up and it's like it's the back set of a stage.
Yeah.
It's like completely empty and there's people back there eating off a cart, and they're like, what the fuck? You know? He's like, what?
You guys didn't even make this a real elevator. You're like, what?
Yeah. He didn't even make it a real elevator.
It starts with a light just falling down in front of him.
Yeah.
And it's serious. Actually, it's written on as like Sirius B or A. You know, it's like an actual star. And it just falls out. He's like, what the fuck?
That's when it all starts unraveling.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Not well maintained.
Yes. And then he finally leaves the dome.
Yeah.
And he ascends, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. That's what you and I were talking about yesterday. We're like, things are just I was just being like, things are getting weirder and weirder and weirder. Our culture is getting weirder and weirder and weirder, and it's like if I stay in the Truman bubble with it, I'm gonna have a really, really hard time.
Right.
I have to like exit and like step out of the bubble and watch it from afar and allow it to be. And realize that it's not real.
Yeah.
It's a TV show.
Yep.
And then I can actually enjoy my life. But if I'm in that and I think that that's reality, I'm going to have a really hard time.
Right. Right. Which is, you know, what's happening for a lot of people is just the pressure is getting ramped up harder and harder. Things are going to get more and more obviously ridiculous. It's going to be like right in your face.
So
as
ridiculous.
It has been. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, and it's like it's exciting for me in a way, just because it's indicative of change, right. I mean, think about being Truman.
And most people are just,
it's almost as it's like your life is so boring, and then it's like it's fucked up. There's all these horrible situations he had to go through, but like it's also exciting because it's like, this isn't real. Like what's going on here? You know,
I mean, the Truman Show is basically the story of the Buddha too.
Yeah.
Being like this, you know, it's escaping. It's the same as the Matrix.
Yeah.
It's the same story.
It's a deep archetypal story.
It's a deep archetypal story
in humanity since the beginning of recorded history, almost as far back as we can remember as a species. Right now, it's like our stories seem to have contained this in some way.
But that's I think that breakdown that you're talking about, this exhaustion that you're talking about, it's like, I think it's that, remember when Neo like was liberated, like he was sick for a long time because he was like, I don't know how to handle this world. He'd never used his member. Or Morpheus is like, he's like, why do my eyes hurt? And Morpheus is like, because you've never used them before.
Yeah.
You know, and he was like, oh, my eyes. And they had like all those needles in him and shit.
Yeah.
He like hadn't ever used his muscles. So I think there's like that breakdown period where like when you become liberated, you're like, it's like your circuit breakers kind of fry out a little bit, right?
Yeah, right.
And you become a little bit like, oh, wow, this is really a lot more than I could previously understood.
I just need to take a nap.
I don't know if you're going to be making the ramen tonight, dude.
I'm going to make the ramen, god damn it. I want it. I want the ramen.
He's been talking about
I wanted
ramen
enough
all
to
day.
push through. It's how I keep going.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Well, it's weird because I haven't even really totally let myself rest through this period. You know, I couldn't even really take a nap the other day. I needed a nap so badly, and then I
had to like force you to go into the bed.
Yeah,
you kept trying to take a shitty nap on our couch that is not that comfortable.
But what am I doing while I'm awake? I'm like piddling around on my phone and like kind of, you know, fiddling with stuff. I'm not even really doing anything.
How come you're resisting resting?
That's a good question. It's just another part of the resistance. I'm another part of the congestion I'm holding around something, around this other ego death piece that I'm going through. You know, I watched that David R. Hawkins' video today, which he's this guy who wrote this book called Power versus Force. And he was talking about like letting go and stuff. And there's he talked about what you actually need to let go of is the energetic reward you're getting from toxic behavior or whatever. There's like a little reward, a little sick satisfaction that some part of you is getting that you might not be totally aware of. And it's not actually
from drama.
Yeah, it's not letting go of the behavior or any of these real things. What it is actually recognizing the reward and letting go of that energetic tether that's been feeding you in some way. And I think that tether is going away, and I don't know, I'm resistant to getting off the teat of darkness.
Yeah, that's what I was. Remember, that's what I was doing. I didn't.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay in my arms crossed in the room and be mad.
Yeah, and I kind of at this moment have a sort of like half awareness of what that is. I think is maybe the issue, and I'm continuing to distract myself from becoming fully aware of what it is.
That's it. Because I said there's some fear. So there's some fear that you're afraid of facing it for some reason.
Well, it's part of this whole know-it-all kind of
That's
energy.
what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God. I hate it. I want to be a know-it-all so bad. I want to know everything.
Oh,
I want to be
goodness.
right. I want everyone to know I'm right.
Oh,
God
my
damn
goodness.
it.
Oh, my goodness. It's like, it's so funny because you're really not an egotistical person except when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, you're just letting it go.
It's a matter of time. It's just
letting
a matter
of time.
Oh, I need to go eat some fucking cannolis.
Oh my God, the cannolis. We've been getting free cannolis. We got 3 free cannolis today. You never had a cannoli before.
I'd never had a cannoli before like a week ago.
Do you guys know about Italian pastries and how much more amazing
How
they're the
fucking
most
amazing
they're the
they
most
are?
exquisite pastries
They're
on the planet.
exquisite. They're not too sweet, at least when they're made in the right way.
They're
It's
creamy,
just all creamy
they're crispy,
and rich.
they're delicious, they're
Oh God. It's so good. It's so good. And we've been getting them for free. I went to, there's this Italian deli here in town, and I went there, and it was close to their closing time. And they're just like, hey, you want anything, any of this stuff? I'm like, oh, no. And they're like, no, I mean, do you want it just for free, though? It's like, well, yeah, what the fuck? What do you mean for free?
Yep.
And they've just been throwing this stuff away like all pandemic because people have been coming there, and like the rich people who go there don't even want this stuff. She's like, I've been having so much trouble giving this stuff away. People don't even want it. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
So I went today. And I got tons of bread and free cannolis and a bunch of pastries, all free.
Yeah. Great. This was like the biggest haul ever you got today.
I know.
And it makes us happy. It makes them happy.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful relationship.
I just want to take it back. I was just looking at
yeah.
our notes for the show real quick.
Keep it on the rails.
Keep it on the rails. But the other big thing, you've been doing a lot of really awesome stuff at the same time,
Yeah.
Alex, because you just finished your website.
That's right. I did
Which
finally
is
finish my
fucking
website.
dope. It's
took
so
forever.
good.
Thank you.
So good.
Thank you. I feel good about it.
What's the website? Name of the website? Tell people about it.
Oh, it's called futuristastrology.com.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, bitch.
And basically, Alex and I, you love Drive.
I love Drive.
And then
and Synthwave and that.
He and
whole
I are
aesthetic.
both really into like future shit. We're just always really into future shit. And I've been really into this. I've been created this new word. We have the Psi.Wave, and then I have Psi Vision, and I've been collecting these like ideas and kind of vision boards of like different graphics and stuff. And Alex is just like, hell yes, because you've been trying to figure out a way to brand yourself within the current paradigm, and you're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I
now.
felt too. I felt like everything sucked. I'm not a fucking life coach. Fuck that shit.
Mm.
I'm not a shaman. I am a person who has downloads
Yeah.
about reality
Yeah.
and people. That's basically it. And how do I, you have to make yourself into this thing, quote unquote. And it's all bullshit. So you figured out how to do it with in a way that actually feels right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I love astrology. I love it as a tool for like working with yourself and working with others. It's been an incredible mirror. And so I wanted it to be something around that. And I don't know how that came to me. We were just talking about future stuff, and the word futurist came to my mind. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I looked up the actual meaning of a futurist, and all of it was like, oh yeah, this is right.
What
right
is the
on
meaning?
The money. It's someone who makes predictions about the future based on current trends and information, which is really apropos for any sort of divinatory art form. You cast these things. You either cast a chart or you can do tarot,
Timelines.
cast cards.
You cast timelines.
Yeah, you cast timelines essentially, which is what a futurist
Hell
does, and
yes.
what an astrologer does as well. And there was all this stuff there was a survey done of 100 and some futurists, and they picked the top 10 things they all talked about, and it was stuff like believing that a better future exists as a strange attractor, this sort of mathematical quantum theory sort of stuff that I believe in. That's where my sort of release comes from, is this belief that a better future is inevitable. I think it's an inevitable thing for the universe, just based on the way we work. Everything is inevitably attracted towards something better. That's
the law, basic law of the universe.
That's
I believe
the basic
that too.
law of the universe, and that was what futurists believe. It's essentially faith, right?
Yeah.
And there was just everything was yes. It seemed to align so well, and it gave me a lot of inspiration for writing the bio for the website and everything, which I all feel really good about. I love it, and I had so much trouble. Everything I was making before, I was desperately trying to come up with something, and anything I would come up with would be it's not quite right, and it felt sort of embarrassing even a little bit. It was I don't know what to do, and then this just clicked just like that, And
it's all in this Drive font, the movie Drive.
It's my favorite movie.
It's all neon,
I love that aesthetic.
And it's all badass and 80s.
Yeah,
it's kind of like our
pink.
podcast.
There's a lot of pink too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. That's both of our aesthetic. That's our shit.
Yeah, I love it.
Dope.
I really love it. I feel good. I feel excited to share it.
Hell yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yes. Yeah, and I just recently I finally uploaded my course. I've been working on this. I've done this course since 2018 with my clients, and it's called The Witchy Bitch. It's a program, and I just put the whole thing online, so now anybody can access it at any time, and you don't have to do it with just me. Yeah. It's a lot of work, years and years of work, and you helped me do that.
That was a cool process, too, because you're I don't know how to do this. You can't find
I couldn't figure it out. It was such a block.
And I was struggling to figure it out too, actually, when I started to help you. And then one day it just all fell into place. It was there was this app that we couldn't even find for some reason. All of a sudden it was just right there.
Yeah.
And it did exactly what we wanted it to do.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
Everything's just falling into place.
Everything just slides into place when you release those congested parts of your soul.
That's right.
Right.
And you can just be in the flow.
That's what we're we're spiritual decongestants. We are spiritual Mucinex.
Exactly. Except not with weird. Well, Mucinex is actually kind of natural.
Is it?
No, is it?
I don't think so.
No, it's not.
No, what the fuck? I don't know what it is, but
we're the futurist version of that.
Yeah, there's no chemicals involved.
No, there's
worry.
no fucking chemicals. It's all
there's
quantum.
Just our
it's all
consciousness
energy. Yeah.
and channeled information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably it today.
I think that's it today. I need to make
so
ramen.
sleepy.
I'm so sleepy.
I'm hungry.
I can feel the dark circles developing under my eyes.
Exhausted.
Oh my god.
It's amazing we made this.
I know.
You
I
were
hope
the one
I'm
that
loud
wanted
enough.
to make it, though.
I did want to make it.
Yeah.
I did want to make it.
Good job.
I brought it up.
I'm proud of you.
I felt it was time.
Yes.
Okay.
What's your website, just so people can look at it?
Oh, yeah. Futuristastrology.com. I think I already said that, but might as well say that over and over again.
Cute.
Just share it on my Facebook and my new Instagram account and all that stuff.
Yeah, and mine's chasebatiche.com.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah! All right. This was great. Thank you again for helping me dissect reality and realize that none of it's real.
Man,
none of it's real.
You did that today.
I know.
Big time.
But you're part of it.
Yeah.
The witnesser makes it real.
Yeah. Hey, that is true.
Yay.
The tree falling in the forest kind of rules.
Exactly. Otherwise, I'm just speaking into a hole into the ether.
Screaming into the void.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
I
love you. Thank you.
Love you too, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.